If you want to build a big chest from push-ups, then it's important to do them in a specific way. Right now, I'll be sharing my best form tips. So first, let me ask you a question. In the calisthenics community, who has the biggest pecs? Prisoners or soldiers? The answer is prisoners. And it's not because they have all this free time with the best genetics. Although that's a factor, I believe it's the way they do push-ups which has contributed to this biasing effect. And science corroborates this as well. What I mean is, they skipped a lockout on their push-ups, which is a lengthened partial. Now, why is this so effective for push-ups? Well, just like the barbell bench press, the floor is restricting you. So at the top, you will notice that there is no converging effect. I can't get my humerus across the body. Therefore, there is no squeeze. For that, you would need to use cables, dumbbells, or rings, which I'll be showing you later. Therefore, it's the stretching aspect that's building the chest. And when you do the top portion, this right here is shoulders and triceps, especially if you're protracting. Now, there's really no tension on the chest. Now, you might think the benefits are due to timed retention, but that is not a mechanism for hypertrophy. It makes no difference whether you're on the floor for 60 seconds or 2 minutes, provided that you go to failure. And the thing is, when you do what the prisoners call baby reps, which they thought was because you're pumping blood into your pecs like you would pump air into a balloon or a bike tire, when you do it that way, you're hitting failure in the pecs. While the triceps and shoulders have many reps in reserve. So that's what makes it so effective when you do all this volume. And this works very well for down workouts. So now I'm gonna show you how to do them. It's really simple. Go all the way down, chin touching the ground, or having your head forward. This way you get even more stretch. So you could hyperextend your neck a little bit if you want. Come up to the halfway point and back down. And do it fast. It might look like your ego lifting, but trust me, it's all pec. You have the stability from the floor, and you can bang out a lot of reps. That's it. You don't need to do full range of motion if you're just trying to grow your pecs, which is the point of this video. Most of the time, I do full range. So let's get that clear. But if you just want to be big, try doing the prisoner way. And there are levels to this. The way I just showed you is exaggerated. That's the highest form of prisoner push-ups. You're turning it more into an isolation, if you will. But if you want to do a soft lockout, that's great too. If you're really concerned about the form police coming after you, you just can't undo that full range, okay, just leave the quarter off. So true full range of motion is being like this, all the way down, all the way up, and the elbows are locked. And no, that doesn't destroy your elbows, it strengthens them. Anyway, you want to stop right about here, or soft lockout. So, see how I'm not getting to this point? It's just here. So it looks cleaner than this. For those who really are judgmental and just don't want to listen to me, even though the prisoners have bigger chests than a lot of us. So do what you want. Regardless, skip the lockout, not because of TUT, but to introduce a form of lengthened partials, which the science confirms is legit. So now we know why these guys got so huge. That said, you can get even more stretch by simply elevating your feet. This turns the exercise into an incline bench press, but in fact, we are doing a decline push-up. So not only are we getting more range of motion in the bottom, but we're also biasing the upper chest. I recommend using a bench or plyometric box 12 to 15 inches high. You go beyond that point and it becomes like a high incline, which just in the lifting world, it's gonna be a lot more delts. All right, the key is to keep your butt a little bit up, not extended. This way you're turning it into a flat push-up. Have a posterior pelvic tilt, similar to a pike push-up. You can extend the neck a little bit, or the upper back, go all the way down, and then stop here. Also, I found that closer grips work best with decline push-ups. In fact, diamond is my absolute favorite. Even though that's more so for triceps, you want vertical forearms on this because if the arms are too wide, then it'll affect the decline height. You may have to elevate it further. So a good rule of thumb is having your hands right outside your pec. If you go out here, it's just awkward. Like you could feel your lower back in a weird way. I wish I can give you a better explanation, but I can't. It's something you gotta feel. Narrow is best. And now you can actually flex the legs this way. But like I said, my favorite is diamond because all you gotta do is let it touch the chest. And it just feels clean. Like, you don't have to worry as much what's going on with your lower body. Everything is level and you're just in that perfect groove. Again, just try it, you'll know what I mean. But keep in mind, that's just what works for me. And in fact, you can never really go wrong off doing push-ups from a plyometric box. It's a good blend. If you feel this too much in your shoulders, by going higher, and take it down a couple inches. And here you could use a more normal grip because your body is flat. It's like you have super long legs. So you get more stretch. This would be the equivalent of doing a 15-degree incline bench at the gym. It may or may not be more upper chest, but it is more chest, period, given the increased range of motion in the body. And remember, even if you skip the lockout, that's still more range of motion than doing a full range of motion push-up from the floor. So you have to look at the degrees of joint angles as it pertains to the bottom arm bend, not the entire arm extension. Now, if you're a true beast and fully on board with this weighted stretching philosophy, then definitely try deficit push-ups. Weighted is my favorite, but higher reps work too. In fact, if you stick to the 20 to 30 zone and you slow down that tempo, you're probably good with just your body weight. Ideally, you want the stall mats or plyometric boxes to be 10 to 15 inches high, or simply put, equal to the rear support, which could be another plyometric box or bench. Now, if you can't get it fully level, that's fine. At least try to get it somewhat close. And in this case, it's not a bad thing that your feet are slightly elevated. If anything, you're doing a minor decline deficit push-up, which is arguably even more stretch on the pecs. So work with what you got. Don't overcomplicate this up. And if you can't even elevate the feet, that's still fine. In this way, you have a weighted dip replacement. So this is an incline push-up. I'm getting the stretch at the bottom, but the leverages are easier because my feet are below. It's literally a weighted dip done on the floor, but it's more stable. There's no leg swinging around. Now, the issue might be loading because you can go so heavy, easily 200 pounds or more if you're a strong dude, but still, the muscular biasing effect, this is lower chest, and you're not compromising the bottom range of motion, which is what we're looking for, okay? So that's one way to do it. But what I recommend is having the feet be the same height or slightly above. So let me show you that now. So we are in what I would call the perfect position. Now, you wanna go all the way down, get the full stretch on the pecs. Here, it's fine if you arch a little bit, because that's not what we're doing this for. It's not to hit the upper chest harder. So get that full stretch, and then come up right here. So not fully protracted, leave a little bit of tension. Boom. Boom. Wow. That is stretching your pecs more than a bench press, and arguably more than a dip. You're hitting end range, and with this exact height, you're not gonna overly stretch the shoulders, because sometimes by going a little bit deeper, it's not necessarily more pec. So this is as low as my body wants to go for my build. Again, adjust the height accordingly. Notice the arm band, you're getting low like a dumbbell fly, but it's in a compound movement. And you can even do mechanical drop sets. So you have the feet up, and then get back down. Oh yeah. Hit failure, ah. And then get back down on the floor. Boom, this will feel like a partial rep. Like once you use the deficit push-ups, going back to the floor is a complete joke. So if you wanna make this a complete replacement, I'm cool with that too. Again, the goal is pectoral hypertrophy, Now for all my strong guys out there, and this will go for every variation of push-up I show you today, feel free to go weight it. Now I like using a chain because it'll kind of mold into the backpack, so it's like sand. It's easy to come in and out, no problems, and you can stack a whole bunch of them. Then if you mix in a couple weight plates, you're good. And for those, I recommend 10 pounders or at most 25. Don't try the 45 or else the bag's gonna be stabbing you in the back in weird directions and it'll hurt your scapulohumeral rhythm. So use smaller plates or even those rucking plates, okay? You got a bit of load in here. Now, to get into position, just put it on the plyometric box right behind you. And there you go. Legs up, no problem. Stretch. Boom. I'm not exaggerating the slowness, but I am pausing the bottom. As long as you do that, you train hard till failure. Ooh, you're good. And there's no fear of injury because if you do fail, right? You end up here and you put the legs out, no problem. So a good strength standard for this is 100 pounds for sets of 10. That's hard even for a 315 bencher. The next tip you guys are gonna love. If you wanna further stretch your pecs, but at the same time, get a squeeze, then do ring push-ups. And the secret for pec development is to set the straps diagonal all the way to the edges of the pull-up bar. This way, you have the complete humeral adduction. Because if you're having it narrow, then you're not squeezing into anything. But here, you already start in the stretch, but you have to actively do this. So check it out. Boom. You can go really low, just like deficit push-up, and then across the body and squeeze the pecs. You can put them together as well. So go slowly with rings. Ooh. And try to keep it level with your pec. Pressing low and in. These are difficult with just body weight. The vast majority of lifters will never have to load these if they slow down the tempo, focus on isometrics, and also elevate the feet. So the same things I showed you with the deficit push-up can be applied here. So we're getting the stretching and squeezing, but what if you want to intensify the squeeze a little bit more? Well, here, you want to rotate inwards. This is called the RTO push-up. So now you're getting a squeeze on the upper chest. So here the arms can come out, maximally stretching the pecs, and you're converging. Ooh, and rotating. And there you have it. So even if your body angle isn't changing that much, as in the case of doing decline push-ups, the fact that we're externally rotating is changing the alignment. So just like a reverse grip bench press biases the upper chest, so do ring push-ups, including ring dips. So imagine an exercise known to build the lower chest can build your upper. That's how you know this is legit. And of course it's flat, so it's a nice little hybrid exercise. And RTO will truly humble you. And it builds straight arm conditioning strength. So to keep you injury free and teach you how to properly maneuver that scapula. If you do any press after this, your shoulders will feel that much better. So it's like the low to high cable fly, but on the floor. So you're flying here. Last tip, if you want maximum chest activation on any push-up, then always assume a planche lean. Just like leaning forward on dips biases the chest more than the tris, so does this apply to push-ups. So in this case, make sure you're not bouncing back towards your heels. Be on your tippy toes, leaning all the way forward, almost like you're flexing, as in having a bit of plantar flexion, like you're working your calves. So flex your calves a bit, maybe that'll do something for you, not. So stay forward. You're gonna have to protract for the starting position. So I don't recommend prisoner reps here, especially if you want that straight arm strength down the future, but stay leaning and then go all the way in front and stay forward. Don't push up back. So a lot of guys will lean and then push back like this. That's too easy. So this is a neutral, normal push-up. You wanna be leaning forward and stay forward. Ooh. Ooh. Wow, that's just body weight. And I don't weigh that much. So imagine if you're 180, 200 doing these. Anyone who's bear mode is gonna love the pseudo planche push-up. Try for any variation. I don't care if your feet are elevated, flat, whatever. I don't care. Sometimes you don't need to wear a backpack. Just leaning adds that extra element of difficulty. In this case, we're not specifically training for skill work. We're doing this for hypertrophy. And obviously you'd have to do straight arm work to get a planche, but you could brute force it to a certain extent. And this has helped me a lot in achieving a really ugly straddle. Take that as you will. My only implication is that leaning is gonna build more chest. So as you can see, after doing all these push-ups, my pecs are ballooned to the max. No benching, just push-ups. So I hope you try out these form tips, and I will see you in the next calisthenics segment.